Hi, my name's Zoe and today we are going to talk about some more sick and disturbing horror films that you might have missed. Okay, so in part one we discussed discussed five horror films that are sick, depraved and disturbing. And they're also quite underground, maybe a bit more independent, harder to find, and I reckon that some of you might have even missed a few. But hey, you can let me know in the comments, as always, which ones you have seen, which ones you haven't seen, and some suggestions for me. The first film I'm going to talk about today is Where the Dead Go to Die from 2012 by Jimmy Screamer Claus. Not sure that is his real name. Maybe it's on his birth certificate. Maybe I just need to ask to see it. So if you haven't heard of Where the Dead Go to Die, then you are seriously missing out, because this one is fucked up. I mean, I'm laughing because I'm going to describe like one teeny tiny part of it, and it's, yeah, horrific. So Where the Dead Go to Die it's an animated film. Thank God, because some of this shit, if it was real life humans, I think it would be worse than a Serbian film. Like, people would lose their fucking minds. Yeah, so it's an animated film. I'm not gonna lie, like, the animation of it is not amazing, but I think it's supposed to feel almost kind of like a retro video game, or, well, that's at least kind of the vibe I got, which, you know, personally I liked it. Like, it worked for the tone of the movie, but I think other people, you might disagree. There are 3 segments in here, and they all kind of, there's intertwining elements to them, but they're all different short kind of storylines, and each one is just as fucked up as the next. So the first one, and this one I think was the one for me that really kind of got under my skin. So the first one follows a boy, and he basically is like, it's kind of like his best friend. We never kind of, it's hard to tell whether it's imaginary, real, but you can make that decision for yourself once you've seen it. So his best imaginary friend is a dog with like red glowing eyes, and I think the dog is kind of like the devil, and the dog basically tells the little boy to do things, including murdering his parents. And spoiler alert, once he's murdered his parents, the dog, oh god, the dog convinces him to fuck his dead mother's body whilst is the dog fucking him? I think whilst the dog is fucking him. You know what, it's kind of like a scene that I almost put out of my mind, like, it's so messed up. But it's good. I mean, if you're looking for extreme and you kind of want your mind to go, oh, what the fuck is happening, that's very good. The second story focuses on a guy who's how do I describe it? Do you know what? These segments they're so messed up, and there's so many moving elements to them and so much happening that I really feel like my recommendation for Where the Dead Go to Die is just to watch it. Like, rather than me trying to explain it all to you, I think it's really something you need to see to believe. And it's great, like, it's really good when it comes to extreme and like an independent movie, something that's completely different. So if you can find it, Where the Dead Go to Die. Okay, so next film on the list is none other than 100 Tears by Marcus Koch. So this one came out in 2007, and it follows a clown, and I hate clowns. So as you can imagine, this one for me was not the nicest film to be watching, because clowns terrify the fuck out of me. So yeah, it was a bit and it's about a clown who supposedly, that is an important word here, supposedly is a serial killer, and 2 students go to find him and document him, uncover some of the truth, and what they find out is something a bit different. But it does mean that you get a lot of slashy, gory, splatter, clown, hacking and chopping and, you know, all those kind of nasty bits that we love. The great thing is that Marcus is a special effects guy as well, which means that 100 Tears has some awesome special effects in it, especially when it comes to, you know, some hacking off of the limbs and some dismemberment and blood and gore and all of our favourite things. So yeah, 100 Tears, you've got the clown, and I think it's a film that kind of, it slips under the radar a lot. And I think recent films like Terrifier have had a lot more attention, but you know, I think it's on Netflix in some countries. It's a higher production value Terrifier, so I completely understand. And obviously it came from All Hallows Eve film turned into its own film from that one segment, which 100 Tears isn't. But if you can get a copy of it, and I do believe that Marcus has some very cool copies of it. I know that for some of his other films, he does some really cool VHSs, which he hand paints himself, which is, I mean, he's a very talented man. So yeah, so if you fancy some clown slashing and dashing, then you can go over to Facebook, look up Marcus. He's in a lot of Facebook groups. You can also drop me a message and I can help you out with that one. And yeah, 100 Tears. The next one on the list, and it's actually a film I've spoken about before, but I put this list together a little while ago, and for anyone that's watching and hasn't watched my other video on Vaser de Noches, then this is about Vaser de Noches, aka The Wedding Trough. So this is from 1974 and it's by Terry Zeno. And how can we describe this movie in simple terms? It's also known as the pig fucking movie. Boom, done. You get the kind of plot. It's an experimental Belgian film. It's a little bit, it's not as extreme as I thought it was going to be, okay? And like I said, if you watch my review on Vaser de Noches, you will hear me talking a bit more in detail about what happens in the film. But as you can guess from the alternative title, the pig fucking movie, pig fucking happens. It's about a zoophilia. Is that how you say it? Or a zoophiliac? Who knows? He likes pigs anyway. So he lives on a farm and he's obsessed with this sow, and he, of course, I guess he thinks he's making love to her, but you know, who knows what the poor sow's thinking. She's probably thinking, get the fuck off me, you know. Or maybe she's enjoying it, who knows? It's hard to tell. We can't read animals' minds. They have some babies and it all goes a bit downhill from there. But essentially it's quite boring, in my opinion. But I do still think it's sick and disturbing and very depraved, and often doesn't get covered enough when it comes to lists on these kind of like most disturbing films. So I would highly recommend you checking it out if you want to look at something that's maybe a little bit more classic than some of the other ones that I've already mentioned. We've only got 2 more to go. Cutting Moments from 1997, and it's by Douglas Beck, and it's a short film. I think in total it's runtime's just over about 30 minutes. So if you can't handle it all, or you don't want to handle a full length thing, then Cutting Moments is a really good one. So Cutting Moments follows, I'm gonna just say now, like, this is quite a dark, bleak storyline and taboo issue to be covering, so I don't think it's going to be for everyone. So again, if it's not for you, just don't watch it. Just don't even go and look for it. Just, you know, do something else. I don't know, do anything else. Go for a walk in the park, as long as it's social distance and not with, what is it, 6 other people, 5 other people? You get the gist. So Cutting Moments is about a dad, lovely little dad, who unfortunately, rather than having sexual intercourse with his wife, is sexually interested in his own young son, who's probably about 8. The wife starts to realise this and wants to know what she can do to get his attention back on her. So she goes into the bathroom and decides to start with a tiny little cut, which gradually gets worse and worse. And let's just say it certainly piques his attention. It is a really disturbing film. I think, if not purely just for the context of it, you know, paedophilia, child abuse, incest, those are really heavy themes that are introduced within like the first 2 minutes of this short film. So I think, you know, when you've got something as extreme as that within, you know, the first the first couple of minutes of it, it's always going to have, you know, notoriety about it. It's always going to feel really nasty, and it is a nasty film, but it's also quite heartbreaking in a way. I think, you know, when you see how the wife is and the way that she is so desperate for her husband's attention, not to be on their son, which is, yeah, I mean, I think if that was me and my husband was doing that, I'd just cut his balls off and shove him up his own arse until he died. Something like that. Anyway, I'm not as forgiving as she is, clearly. And she goes to such extreme violent lengths against her own body. You know, it's a form of self-harming just to get his attention. But, you know, I think it's interesting. It's a really interesting little slice of extreme cinema. And Douglas Beck went on to put this short film into his, I think it's Family Portraits, a trilogy of America, and he's got a couple of other shorts in there as well. I haven't seen them. I don't think they're as disturbing, but who knows? If you have seen them and they are just as disturbing, do let me know and I will get around to watching them and I will talk about it at some point. Okay, so I have one final movie on the list. I do this. One final movie on the list, which I can't remember exactly who, but someone told me about Pig from 2010 by Adam Mason. So if you've heard about Pig, then you know all the stories about Pig and why I've kind of left this one till last. So you're not going to be able to, you're probably not going to be able to watch this anywhere. A very good friend of mine who works in the industry and, you know, had worked with Adam on some things, kindly sent me a screener to watch. So I was very, very lucky to be able to be one of the people that have seen this movie. But otherwise, it's going to be very hard to come by unless you know great people in great places. So Pig is basically about a man. There's not much plot going on. It's about a man and he's out in the desert. I think it is kind of like outbacky desert type place. He has a caravan and he's kidnapped some people. It's not just women, it's women and men, and he keeps them penned up almost like pigs, treats them like shit, tortures them, abuses them, rapes them, does what the fuck he wants to them. It's very, very grueling to watch. It's very nasty, and there is not much else happening in this film other than him being the absolute cunt of the world to his victims. And he also keeps one of his victims in like a pen with him. Not with him, but keeps her in a pen, and she's pregnant as well, and she's kind of like the dog slash pig. I don't know whether, I guess pig maybe refers to him or the way that he treats his victims, but either way, it's a good word to describe the film. The thing about this film is you're probably thinking it doesn't sound super extreme compared to some of the other ones I might have spoken about or some of the other ones that you've seen, but the thing about Pig is it has no purpose. It's a good film, but it has no purpose. And even Adam Mason, the director himself, the reason you can't find this film anymore is because he screened it at, I think it was Southwest Festival, something like that, in the US, and it was with Bloody Disgusting that they screened the film, and Adam Mason was so disgusted at the film that he had created that he did not want anyone else in the world to see it anymore. He did not see that what he created had a purpose in this world, and that, you know, he genuinely thought it was just a nasty piece of filmmaking for no reason whatsoever, and because of that he actually kind of pulled it out from the world, and that's why I'm saying you can't find it anywhere. So I think, you know, when it comes to thinking about underground films, independent films, Pig is one of those that really does encompass that, and it is extreme and it is horrible to watch. Like it's and also I forgot to mention the end is so good. Like the end fucked me up. I did not see it coming, and it's probably one of the most subtle yet disturbing endings I've seen in an extreme horror film. So for that reason, I implore you to try to find Pig, because I don't know where you're going to find it, but I'm sure your interest is piqued, and maybe we should even start a petition, send it to Adam and see if he will re-release Pig, which I have a feeling he won't, but maybe he can be convinced. Who knows? That's been part 2 of my sick and disturbing horror films you might have missed. Whether there are more to come, who knows? But there's always more sick and disturbing movies in the world. So for now, please subscribe, thumbs up on the video if you liked it. If you thought it was a piece of shit, put a thumbs down. That's absolutely fair enough. Your opinion is yours. And yeah, leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what some of your sick and depraved films that I might have missed are, any of your recommendations, and also let me know if you've seen any on this list and your opinions on them, because I would really love to hear them. Other than that, thanks for watching.